everybody, good morning to you all. Thanks for joining us on our little podcast about little MS things. I'm Claire Jens. I'm here with my friend Claudia, helping me today, and we'll be just discussing MS today. Today is just us, the girls, having a chat, and we're going to just discuss MS and how we're going and all sorts of things, and introduce you. So tell us about yourself.
Okay, I'm Sarah, 41 years old. I live in Daytona Beach, Florida.
Awesome.
I was diagnosed with MS in 2017 and I am somewhat familiar with it because my father had a worst case scenario. So I grew up as a child watching that, and then was diagnosed myself and have written a book, which I would love to tell you about.
Yes.
And that's because my dad wrote his own story in the early 90s.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. Good. So I wanted to ask you, how were you diagnosed? How did it work out for you?
I was diagnosed after a few weeks of facial twitching, and then I had already been established with a neurologist because years before that I had Lyme disease, and I've always been somewhat nervous about having MS, even though I know it's not noted to always be genetic, or common in families. But after the twitching, I was referred back to the neurologist, and he did an MRI just to make sure nothing was pressing on the nerve that was making the twitching occur. And then the lesions were present and matched my symptoms, and then they did a spinal tap or lumbar puncture to confirm it.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Was that shocking for you?
I'm sorry?
Was that shocking for you when they confirmed it? Were you shocked out or just you believed it straight away?
It was disappointing, but it wasn't super surprising just because I was somewhat nervous about it occurring for whatever reason, but disappointing and sad for sure.
Mm-hmm. Can I ask how the Lyme's disease, was that connected with the MS starting in your system? Like, how did that happen?
I know that it can be commonly misdiagnosed. I'm not really sure, though, that maybe it triggered something, but no, it's two separate, I guess, issues. I'm just lucky, but not literally. So MS, Lyme disease was in 2013, so about 4 years prior to my MS diagnosis. And I had my former husband had Lyme disease. We were just in an area in North Carolina where we possibly contracted it from a tick, but did IV antibiotics, and we were pretty quickly diagnosed on that route. Mm-hmm. And I had months of being okay, or even years, without symptoms before that.
Because it's quite common over here in Australia because we have lots of ticks, especially along the East Coast where we live. So I'm not sure about you, Claire, but I've met quite a few people who have it, and it's an awful thing to live with. So I'm really sorry to hear that for you as well.
Thank you. It's a bummer, but I think it was caught pretty quickly. And
And in terms of your MS, in terms of your family, how do they deal with your diagnosis? Are they being supportive of you, or how does it work for you?
Yeah, my mother is extremely supportive, and sadly she experienced that with my dad, but they're always people full of hope and relying on the Lord in their walks, So that has really helped me continue courage. And my mom always shares that when my dad was diagnosed, I think that same day, he said, we're going to go new places and meet new people. And they jumped right into a support group. And so that was good to grow up seeing. I really feel like their experience has helped me prepare for my own.
Yeah.
But as far as my household family, things have just changed,
Yeah. And your husband, or your former husband, was he supportive for you? Was he helpful for you?
I can't say that he wasn't supportive, or I choose not to. We still go to the same church and have the same circle of friends. So I won't say that he wasn't, but I will tell you that this single life that I've been living for a few years, I feel like going to appointments and things by myself throughout has prepared me. You know, I don't look at it like I'm by myself because I had him and was still going to visits alone, and life just happens. Wow. People work, and
yeah, it happens. Do you have kids too as well? Children?
I'm sorry?
Do you have children?
Yeah, we have 2 children.
Yes.
They're in their 20s, so they've kind of moved out and
done their own thing.
Yeah,
I get it.
Which I'm super supportive of, and luckily I have been feeling really well, and so there aren't any issues. But I'm sure they would be here for me if I needed something.
And do you take any disease-modifying drugs for your MS? Any medication?
I avoided it initially. I still currently have not started it, but I did IV vitamin therapy and NAD, different holistic type things that really have, I thought, for a while held off progression. But I did agree. I just had an MRI show it in my brainstem, unfortunately. So I did agree that I will start something.
Because I think in America, I read an article that the medications for MS are now being funded now from the government. I think now they're more open up. The funding for MS medications are more widely available now. Is that right?
I'm not quite sure. I'm just 1 month into really agreeing to do it, and I've run into a few insurance problems. Not quite sure. It hasn't been a very easy process, but I have great doctors that their team is going to figure it out.
And did your MS diagnosis affect your work at all?
No. The only thing that really has affected my work, which may or may not be MS related, I did have a slip disc and pinched nerve. And right where those discs are, there are lesions. So it may be related. And I was out of work for that. But other than taking off for appointments, it hasn't really been an issue, thankfully.
So you still work then right now?
Yes.
Wow, that's good for you.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
Can I jump in and ask as well, just being that you both have had parents who have suffered from MS, yours being your mum and then yours your dad, could we maybe talk about that in what the experience could be different like for someone who's been diagnosed and maybe never heard of it before? Is there maybe some positives or more negatives in that experience of having a parent who also suffered?
My mum was diagnosed only when she was 70. So she actually got it. I'd had it for like 30 years before she was diagnosed.
Oh, you had it before.
I'd had it for, not 30 years, I had it for 20 years before she was diagnosed. But late diagnosis of MS often can be quite, apparently it can be quite dangerous, quite bad quality MS. It can be quite, I can't think what it is. I forget words. It was actually, she was diagnosed, but she was in a wheelchair almost straight away. So we went from being walking to MS in a wheelchair within like months. So her MS is much more progressed straight away. Whereas mine, I'm not in a wheelchair at all. And so I've been slowly getting worse over the years, but that's okay. That's how it is. But I think your dad, explain your dad's MS. How bad was that?
He was diagnosed when he was 41 and it was like quick downhill and he never had a good day after. So it was chronic progressive or the progressive form. And then he lost the ability to walk, really, literally a worst case scenario. We ended up having to have him in full-time care. And he really only said hi, bye, and I love you at the end. It was super quick and very sad. But I mean, he was hopeful and great, positive. So it was hard to see. I really feel like I saw a really good man who should have won a battle, lose a battle. So that was hard.
Yeah, I'm sure.
And did you, you said earlier that you always had, was it a bit of a fear that you would also have MS as well? Did that just stem from watching his experience or?
Sometimes I feel like I just kind of have feelings about what may or may not occur. And most often I don't know. I call it not necessarily a fear, maybe I just thought that it was going to happen. I don't know.
You guessed it. You assumed it, maybe.
Wow.
assumed.
Yeah.
But I really am hopeful that there's going to be a cure someday.
Good for
so
you.
I'm kind of opposite on. I just really feel like I'm meant to be part of, and maybe you as well, just sharing and bringing awareness to the issues. And I really am hopeful that we're going to see an end to all of that someday.
I agree. I think so too. I hope that in the end, all the changes being made now, medications are getting better. I hope that in the next sort of 2, 3, 4 years, maybe 10 years, they'll find a cure, I reckon.
Yeah, I'm going to stick with your 2 to 3. 2 to
3, because I think it's I think that when I was diagnosed 25 years ago, and when I was diagnosed, there was only one drug available, and it was horrible, and it made me really sick. And I took it for years, and I've been on every different drug I've been on for like 25 years now. So it's been every type of DMT I've taken, and in the beginning they were quite toxic and quite hard to deal with. But now the drug I take now is called Ocrevus. It's a great drug because I do it twice a year only, two infusions a year, and the side effects are 0. So I feel I've gone the whole gamut of everything bad to now good, and it keeps me well, touch wood, and I'm feeling quite upbeat about going forward now, which is good. And I'm in no wheelchair, which is great. I can walk, kind of, not great, but I can walk. But I think when I first was diagnosed, 25 years ago, I thought the idea of a wheelchair was a horrifying thought. But as the years went on, I got worse and worse and worse. I thought, what's real? But now I feel like I'm gonna touch wood. I'm gonna beat this one. No wheelchair, I hope. But it's a wishful thinking thing, but it's also power of positive thought. I hope that I'm just gonna beat it.
Exactly.
Yes, I agree. I think your attitude is very positive.
It is.
I think I'm a big believer that if you're negative, your MS might get worse. So I think you being positive is so important, I believe.
Yes.
It's just,
I think so too.
You can actually feel it in like the way you talk, and even like behind your eyes. It's hope and positivity is infectious. And for someone like me, I don't suffer from an illness like you girls, and it is genuinely so inspiring the way that you trudge on every day. And keeping hope. It's so important. Positive energy is so healing, and having faith, like you said, it's truly can be a savior.
Was your dad quite positive about his illness? Was he bothered by his illness by the end?
He, as long as he could communicate, it felt like he really was. Like when he first went into a rehabilitation center or a nursing home, like it was his first day there, and he told my mom that she could leave because he had a meeting to discuss MS with someone that was having a hard time with their own diagnosis.
Oh, what a nice man.
So he always was the person that really tried to be supportive to others.
That's such a nice trait to have. You got it from him, clearly, because it's a nice trait to have. It's very beautiful. Because a lot of people in MS, you find I've had a lot of people in the MS world are quite depressed. And they're when they're depressed, they kind of pull you down a bit. Sorry, God, but it's true. They make you feel a bit depressed, or they don't try to. They can encourage you to be not so upbeat. But I try to be upbeat because I think being upbeat is so critical to staying well, I believe. But I could be, I'm very wrong, but I feel it. What do you think?
I can't believe how similar we seem on things not only like that, but also like in my book, I talked about feeling like I didn't want to be a burden on somebody, and that's in your movie.
Yeah,
and so watching a movie and seeing different things that I know and feel, I'm like, makes me wonder if there's like some other component to this all. But
no, you're right.
But I'm glad we're hopeful.
I'm glad that you felt that part of being a burden part is. It was quite a big emotion to have had, and I think all mothers or all women with MS, you feel like you don't want to burden your partner with it or your family. But nothing with your kids. I have 3 boys, and I didn't want them to feel that they've got a sick mom to look after their whole lives. My boys they've been so useful, wrong word. They've been so lovely about looking after me. That's a horrible word, useful. But they're particularly one boy, number 2. He's very number 2 again, not cool. But he's been my little rock all the way from day one. He's been very supportive of me from the beginning, and he's a good heart, and he looks after me and just supports me a lot, which I love. But I think also I have another thought about this is that kids of parents who are sick, I think that they come out to be, they evolve to be really beautiful kids, beautiful men or children, because they've had to deal with lot of trauma already through life. I think they end up being quite sympathetic and quite empathetic as well. Not empathetic, but empathetic, and very thoughtful kids. So they have to look after their mum all the way through, which is quite a tough thing to do.
Yeah, Sarah, has that been your experience? What's your experience, being a mother and having your kids grow up around MS, if you would share?
I want to shield them and protect them from seeing what I saw because it was so hard to experience, but you are correct. It kind of shapes you into being somebody that's empathetic towards others. And my kids, they seem to have that trait as well, positive people. And
that's beautiful.
So far, I haven't really had to see how they are in the face of something horrible through me. And I want to shield them from that as much as I can.
That's beautiful.
And so me and Claire have been friends for about 6 years. We have a deep shared love of horses and how the healing power that they bring. That's, what you can see in the film. And I wanted to hear your experience after you were first diagnosed. Even when I became friends with Claire only those few years ago, you've been sick for so long. But seeing Claire then, she actually used to hide her illness and knew people, we wouldn't talk about it. We just knew that there was something going on, but
I was ashamed of it, which is really, that's such a horrible thing to say, but it's true. I felt ashamed of having MS. It was like an ugly thing to have, which is it's just crazy, but I thought it was actually embarrassing, so I didn't tell anyone. But then over time, my friends, my horse friends, they saw me struggle and they saw me that things weren't quite right, but eventually I became more powerful, became more open about my disease. I thought, well, it is. It's not like I didn't get it on purpose. It just happened. So I thought, well, actually, I'm going to be more open about it. And I feel, in a way, becoming more brave about, not brave, wrong word, become more open about things now. I feel I've opened a door of like understanding now, which is better.
And has that is similar experience for you?
Yeah, I think that brave was actually a really good word because I think to be open, there is a component of being brave involved in that. But I respect you for previously being, less open about it. And I think there are a lot of people that can relate. I'm a little bit of the opposite, like just super open. But I think it's because, so my dad was that way. I mean, he was in an advertising agency and just always open and honest, transparent. And my mother is a preacher, so I've been publicly used as an example here and there,
Yeah.
They're just open people, and I think that's why I am. I feel like God can really connect things and bring, new things to light whenever people open up. And so I'm a little opposite, but I respect you.
No, I mean, I think by opening up about my disease now and being more, trying to engage like a community side of MS, I feel like I'm finding a different part of me. I feel no shame now, no shame at all, which is good. That's insane. Yeah. No shame now at all, and more engaging with people around me. I think I'm hopefully a bit better, more empathetic, more thoughtful of other people. I hope, I'm sure, and just more. Curious about the life, curious about things going forward too, and more, I hope, more receptive to things being better. No bad things now. I'm more positive now, which is, I like that.
Oh, I was just going to ask if you felt like that changed after your movie was released. I feel like I'm even more open after my book has been available. Like people know me more, so it helps me continue to communicate and be open.
Okay. So your book, the book you wrote, I'm going to read it for sure. I'm going to read it for sure. But I have to get on and look at it 100%. Did it open up doors into more friendships or more understanding or more community talking to you? How did it work, your book?
I really feel like so far it has, but I'm kind of new at the beginning of it, so it'll be interesting to see what continues. But it's being sold at the local hospital gift shop, and that's exciting.
Yeah.
I feel like it'll be inspirational to other people. And then I did mail it to the Princess of Wales. And
Oh, good for you. I love her. Good. Yeah.
I say a little joke like I wrote a book and mailed it to a princess in a faraway land.
I like that. That's a good story.
It.
I love that.
Got to bring the magic in.
Yes, that's good. Like that.
And she must have a little bit of a sense of humor herself, because I did, when I sent it to her, I said Sarah means princess in Hebrew, so we have that in common.
I love that too. That's good. I like that too. That's good. You were saying something.
Well, I pretty much was going to ask that about your book if it's new, you were saying. So connecting you with community for Claire, working, doing some support work for Claire and being your friend, and just seeing this journey since the movie's come out, it's just connected you with so much community that you were feeling that you were lacking that for a lot of years.
Yeah, I think for the beginning of my journey, I had no community at all. Didn't tell people. That's probably why. But now I've been very vulnerable putting out in the movies. It's very opened me up to everyone now, which is good. And I think that now it's opening up us me and John to talk about. We talk about different events, different scenarios. Talk about the actual the story and the disease, and discuss it. Been to Parliament now, into Parliament House, talking about my this is my voice going bad. When I talk too much, my voice gets really I need to breathe more.
Do you want to sip
and be more calm and have some water. That's my issue. I talk too much and I just run out of breath. I'll stop. Freaking hang on.
And
you talk.
That's something that I wanted to ask you, Sarah, is a part of bringing this book out for you. Obviously, there's the legacy of your dad, and coming that through with your experience is looking for community, people who also have a MS. Is that something that's like important for you and a part of why you did it, or maybe not?
No, it's definitely, I feel like everyone with MS is tired, and like this NAD, I'll show you. Oh no, it's just a box. I'll sit it down. But NAD, IV, or nasal spray, like there are things that are helping me, and I just feel like if I share that with others, it may be helpful to them. So, or, maybe it'll encourage someone to share with me what is helpful for them, kind of vice versa. So I can't wait to see how it connects through more MS communities that I haven't really adventured with that yet.
Okay.
That's the right word.
Yes, I get it.
And it's new for you as well, Claire.
It is. MS community of one of this for years now, for decades or a long time, and now it's becoming more real, which is great. It takes a bit of time, but it's I think that everyone with MS has different. Everyone's story is totally different. Everyone's different. I know that, but there's some similarities in little bits and bobs on the way, which is how it is. But I think that us sharing our stories, it's really powerful, and I feel a bit more. I feel more understood and more engaged with the community. It's a really nice feeling.
Yeah, that's great.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I think, I think now's a good time to ask you about your book and, give us a tell-all about what's in store for the readers.
Well, it is. I decided to write it about 10 years ago because my dad wrote his book. One Man's Battle with MS, the beginning, and then he had such a horrible experience and wasn't able to follow up on it or anything like that. So it's called He Said Saga, and the idea was because he first wrote a book, and then I wrote a few chapters just about his story, and then didn't do much with the book, and then had my own diagnosis, and I just really felt like it's like a mission from the Lord for me to just get it out there. And I really discovered myself, and I feel like I can be more open because it's a little scattered and chaotic, and that's a little bit of what I'm like, and you kind of hold that back.
Mm-hmm. Me too. Yeah.
But yeah, so my mom wrote a beautiful foreword, and it kind of prepares the reader that, it's not written by someone with massive reading experience or, anything like that. But yeah, so it's his story, my story, and then I am a preacher's kid. So it unexpectedly turns a little bit holy, and that's kind of shaped I guess, my future. I feel like I'm supposed to share the Lord's love. So it's like my MS story, my Jesus story are now one.
I like that a lot.
Beautiful.
I think it's a really nice story. I like that energy. It's really good.
And how can anyone get their hands on it? If you know, for any of the listeners.
You're so sweet. I have a Said Saga website, and it's on there, or it's available at Amazon, and then locally at the hospital and Barnes and Noble.
Perfect.
I'd say no Barnes.
Barnes and Noble.
And the great store we don't have that in Australia, doesn't have Barnes and Noble. Best store in America. We don't have it here. But it's okay.
Oh, you're so sweet. I do have one thing that I want to show you
Yes.
that's super interesting. I started printing photos, and that's going to be sold at our local store. But in the process of knowing how that works, I have to name every photo for copyrights. And I have one sketch that my dad made. I'm going to show you too.
Wow.
Because I was looking at it. I've had it for a few years, but in a frame in my bedroom. But I looked at it and I thought, if I was naming this photo, look at what it would be named. I'm all about coincidences, but look.
Oh, it's a hand.
What would you name that? It's
so beautiful.
right?
I love that.
Yeah, that was by my dad. So I'm
beautiful.
finding coincidences throughout your story with his story as well.
I agree. It's a great connection there. I like that a lot. Thank you. Did he draw that hand himself?
Yeah, he was an artist.
I was going to say, he's
so
actually
I don't
pretty
even
good.
know when that would have been from, like 40 years ago or something.
Wow, he's good. Because hands are hard to draw, so he did a good job. They're very well done. That's good.
And while we're on the line, I feel like this episode is really like on the line of positivity. I I know and only imagine from being friends with you, Claire, it's not always about the positives, and there can be some really dark times, and not wanting to take away from that. But being on the line of positivity, would you girls like to share something that this disease has, how it's positively impacted your life or changed your trajectory, if that's okay to ask?
That's a good question. For me, I'll do me first. I think for me, in terms of being more real, more honest, and being, I pressed pause. I had a thought. I forget things a lot. I had a thought. You talk first. I'll think.
Have a think. All
Sorry.
right, Sarah.
I think that it's, helped me want to be more open, and then I found myself through writing about it. I see more of the importance of being open and, communicating with the different experiences. And so I see the Lord working in different ways through doctors that are in my path and things like that. So
it's beautiful. Thank you for sharing.
I remembered it was. I remember when I was diagnosed, I was in England a long time, in London, working, and I was working in a bank, and I had a really hard job, a lot of hours working, long hours and no sleep and traveling all the time. And I think that when I got sick, I think it was like God or someone pulling me up and saying, just stop, smell the roses, look around, enjoy life more, because I was working so hard, had no life at all, just working. And I thought I didn't appreciate anything. I had no kids. I had before kids. I didn't see my husband ever, and I just didn't enjoy life at all, just working all the time. So in a way, MS. And Richard Pryor, who's a comedian, American comedian, he's a comedian, and he said that he reckons that MS stopped him in his tracks, and I believe I'm the same. That MS stopped me in my tracks and said, turn around and enjoy your life more, be more present, be more real, and I think that's what it did for me. That's my answer.
Thank you for sharing.
Beautiful that you share your story.
Thank you.
I think so as well. So did it question your faith in God when how did you deal with that when you were first diagnosed? Because that's obviously a really, hard pill to swallow.
Yeah, I think that's a great question. I have always been someone, I think just being raised in the church has helped me always hold on to faith. So no, it didn't make me question it. I didn't become angry. It did help me to be open more in my conversations with God. And then I'm definitely much closer to him now. And so it really has grown my faith.
That's beautiful. Thank you for sharing. I think it's, yeah, this episode has got a really beautiful streamline of positivity and faith. It's so important wherever you hold it. I think it'll be really beautiful for the listeners to hear, and even talking about the positive impacts that it's had in your life, because, like what we've been saying, it's so important to hold hope.
Hope with in terms of my hope about our film back in the day when we started the film, wanted to get awareness, understanding, and hope. The three things I wanted to do. And the hope thing, but God comes in. The hope is like it'll be okay. You'll be okay. It's my third thing. I'm gonna say you'll be okay. Everyone, you don't die. It's gonna be okay. It'll be hard. It's a hard thing to swallow, but you'll be okay. It's like just be strong and you'll be okay. I believe. But that's my thought.
All in perfect order, as we like to say in my house.
Oh, really? That's good. Yeah. So Sarah, going forward for you, what sort of things are going? What new things are going to happen for you in your future? What sort of things you're looking to do or be or happen?
Accomplish.
Well, I would love to come visit you in Australia.
Oh, wow. I'd love that. That'd be so nice.
Meet new friends.
Yes, that's good to do. Have you been to Australia before?
No, I haven't. But I did work customer service and marketing for Iraqer paddleboard company just for 1 year. But I did U.S. and Canada, and then filled in for another woman named Sarah in Australia.
Another Sarah, yeah.
So I kind of knew you all are so friendly and use more words. I just it really helps me feel comfortable. Thank you.
Good.
It's so nice, like being around. Another upbeat, positive girl.
Yeah. Not everyone is, but the people that are, we try to save and be around those people. It's good to be around.
And then I'm going to ask you as well, Claire, what's the future looking like for you? What do you want to accomplish?
Thank you. Accomplish going forward. Can I say everything I want to do? Everything I want to do?
Yes, girl.
So here on our property, we're going to start doing more rides around our property with horses, obviously horse rides, but we're going to do more group rides and hopefully do community-based rides, people who are local or I don't know, we haven't talked about that, doing further away rides.
People who suffer from MS.
And people, I wanted to get like a MS sort of. My hope is to have like a MS community, and they can come to our property here and just heal. We're trying to, because this where we live now is this beautiful property that's very. You feel the healing power here a lot. And I'm hoping to make this property be like a healing place, healing. A healing place?
A retreat?
Like a retreat for healing, for MS, not necessarily MS, but MS or neurological problems. So it's just such a beautiful place here.
And incorporating like the horses and being in their energy. There's so much nowadays that you can learn about equine therapy, and it's been such a, it's what's brought a lot of us together. It's been such a healing component in Claire's life. And
yes, it has.
Hopefully be able to offer that to people like both of you guys.
Yeah. I'd like it. Come and ride with us. That'd be nice.
Yeah.
On the book thing, I'm curious because I'm considering writing a book as well. And in fact, the movie you saw, our movie you saw, it's not a biography. It's like a novel. It's a movie. So it's not actually all true. It's like based on true stories, but lots of them it's not true. But my thoughts are now some parts now are around an actual book. It's going to be the true story about the whole thing, which shows all the background and all the things that weren't true and things that were true. And it's been more, probably a bit more emotional for me. That's not true. The making the movie I cried a lot because it was very emotional. But writing the book, I started writing it and I might cry all the time. So my diagnosis was really horrible and there's just been some horrible things happen. But I think I didn't really tell the truth throughout. And I think I should be more honest in my book. So it's going to be a big process, but it's going to be cathartic, I hope, and make me feel a bit more. So your book writing experience, did it make you feel stronger or more engaged in the world? What did it do for you writing your book?
So because I had the idea a decade before I finished, I just in the back of my mind always thought, I need to do this. What am I doing? Why am I not doing it? I always felt like I should have done it sooner, but in the end, the timing was perfect. And so I really want to encourage anyone that has that desire to write, do it. Mm-hmm. I think it'll be great for you to just let it all be out there. So it's almost therapeutic on some level for yourself.
Yeah.
But then I'm amazed at how many people find it inspirational and encouraging. And so I think it's really helped me a lot. The first few chapters I had written so long ago, and then a lot of the middle of the book is just taken from my Said Saga Facebook page, because during that decade I wasn't writing everything, but so I'm really glad that I was still documenting, and was able to use that material. And then when I knew it was time to finish, I was able to sit down every day and just write what I was experiencing, and do I do medicine or not do medicine. Looking at it now, I feel like I almost appear somewhat confused, but I think so many people with any medical issue will be able to relate to that, especially people who have faith that Jesus heals, because I think that is true, but then medicine, like, God really works through people in the medical field too, So it's been an interesting process, but it was helpful.
Good. Yeah.
I don't know if we've spoken about either yet. Your symptoms, like maybe it's a good thing to talk about comparing symptoms. What are some of your symptoms that you suffer from?
Good question.
So I have bilateral leg tingling, like especially if I'm hot or walking really quickly. My legs don't operate really well if I have on heels. I feel like that happens sooner. But doing that vitamin therapy, I don't really have symptoms too much. Sometimes I'll find myself, like, if I want to say, would you like gray or brown lenses? Sometimes I just mix the words accidentally and say, like, would you like brown? Or, like, mix the words. Okay. And everyone, when that occurs, I mean, it hasn't been too frequently, but it kind of lets people laugh. But in my mind, I think that is not probably normal, but so, and then there have been times where I've been really tired myself.
Do you get any pain at all? Do you have pain at all in your MS? Any pain?
I only had pain with that pinched nerve and slip disc, but otherwise I don't have that. I did have a lot of UTIs. I heard you say that you had that as well. I did fall a few times this year, but I think anyone in those slippery situations would have fallen too.
Yeah, I think yes, exactly. Everyone's fallen. I agree. Yeah. And your father, he's on MS. Obviously, it got pretty bad. So did it? Don't want to talk about. You don't have to. Don't mention it. Don't talk about it. But did it actually end up being? Did it get much worse? So he couldn't breathe or things? What happened in the end?
The very end, like, for years, it felt like he was just laying in a facility. Like, they would get him up for meals and things like that. And we would, of course, go visit him, but it almost made you wonder, like, his eyes shook really bad when he looked at you, and he lost the ability to communicate. So it was pretty sad, pretty bad.
That's pretty bad.
That is really sad.
Yeah.
I'm sorry to hear.
Yeah, I'm sorry it was that sort of way. But,
how long ago did he pass away?
This is the other thing that's coincidental. It was 2005, but it was August 22nd, 8/22, and that's the same day your movie was released in Australia, I saw.
It was.
There's a few coincidences here, aren't there?
It's I know. Spooky, but good
that happens.
Yeah, it's good.
Sorry, I couldn't hear you.
No, it's spooky coincidence, but it's not. I like that. I get that too. My voice is very loud.
That's all right.
My voice is very weak. That's okay.
And Claire, you experienced similar symptoms, like talking about wearing high heels and.
Oh, I can't. But heels and me are not friends. I can't do heels at all now. I can only do flat shoes. My balance is pretty. My MS. The symptoms I have, my balance is pretty much gone, and I can walk kind of, but I fall over a lot, and my balance is, I can't climb stairs that easily. I have to hold on to things all the time. I'm very visually, I have to hold on a lot. What else is my symptoms? I have so many. My symptoms are the same thing. I can't remember now. You knew more. You watched me. What else do I have?
Yeah,
what do you notice?
We used to horse ride, me and Claire. The ground was filled with roots. And so we can giggle about the roots because we would all trip over them constantly. I've had a few
half over
stats, but the roots were just the absolute end for you, Claire.
They're my nemesis. I couldn't do any deviation in the soil. I trip over. I fall over a lot. And then you laugh.
Yeah.
I fell over my face a lot.
We had a few good giggles all together about the roots, but that was a bit hard. It's a bit flatter out here, which is nice.
Yeah, this place is flatter. This property is better than that one. It's good.
When it comes to the healthcare system, where in America versus Australia, I obviously know briefly about it that we are a bit more lucky when it comes to healthcare, especially with NDIS, which is, what does it stand for?
The National Disability Insurance System.
And what's it like for you in America? Do you have lots of support from the government with your illness or not?
Personally, I don't think so. I use insurance through my healthcare, and it's expensive to be sick.
Yeah.
Right?
That's really scary.
That's scary, yeah. But in America, if you're not insured, how do you cope?
I think we have a rule that you have to have insurance now.
Really? Everyone has insurance. Everyone has. What if you don't? What if you don't? No, just say you're a mum, staying at home mum with no job. How do you get insured then?
I think you would have to use the marketplace or through the government if you have low income.
Okay.
Or can get it through your employer.
So everyone has insurance of some type. Everyone has insurance.
Yes.
Okay. See, in Australia, we don't have that at all. No one gets insured here. Here, you go to sick, you get to hospital, you get all my medications, all capo, government pays everything. I pay nothing.
Yeah.
It's pretty lucky.
Government covers it all.
Covers all of it. So
And I think that is a good, important thing to touch on that you said. It is expensive to be sick.
Yes.
And depending on your predicament or where you live, it's probably something that a lot of people don't even realise, and your appointments and your medications, and that can be really tough.
It is tough. And when you go to the doctor and you go to a GP and you get a script for a different drug, you've got to pay for it yourself though. So every drug you get can cost like $30 or $30 or $40. So each time you're sick costs money. So if you're poor, being sick it can be the end of the world. It'll be everything. Just not. But that's another whole other issue. It's a very political issue. But Australia's actually got its shit together. Can I say that? Can I swear? Okay, I can swear. Sorry, I shouldn't swear.
And is there anything else you'd like to touch on before we head off today, Sarah? Anything more about your book?
Yeah, I'm just super excited that this happened.
I'm glad too, Sarah.
And you guys are both nice.
I'm glad, Sarah. It's kind. I like that a lot.
Thanks for letting me join you guys today. Claire's such an important part of my life and become such a dear friend.
You, darling. You're so
and
nice.
It's really opened me up to. I didn't even know. I had maybe heard of MS once before Claire came into my life. And I just really do take my hat off to how strong you women are. It's women and men who both suffer. It's such an awful disease, and sitting here and talking hope and faith is just so inspiring to me. Well, and I just think you both deserve a round of applause from everyone, and
thank you.
Thanks for sharing your story because people need to hear it.
Thank you, Sarah.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Have a good day too.